A Jewish orphan became queen of Persia and saved her entire people from genocide. That's not fiction. That's the Book of Esther. And what most people miss is how brilliantly she played the game. No miracles, no angels, just courage, strategy, and perfect timing. Section 1. The banquet that changed everything. King Xerxes ruled 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia. His empire was massive, his wealth unimaginable, and in the third year of his reign, he threw a party that lasted 6 months. Not a celebration, a flex-a display of power meant to remind every official, every prince, every governor exactly who was in charge. The palace garden was decorated with white and blue fabrics, silver rings, marble columns, gold cups personalized for each guest, royal wine flowing freely. For 6 months, the empire's elite ate, drank, and witnessed the king's glory. Then came the final week, a feast open to everyone in the capital, from nobles to common people. And on the 7th day, drunk and feeling powerful, King Xerxes made a decision that would change history. He ordered 7 officials to bring Queen Vashti before him. She was beautiful, and he wanted to show her off like another piece of property. Put the crown on her head and parade her in front of drunk men. Vashti refused. That refusal shook the entire empire. Not because it was rebellious, because it was unprecedented. Queens didn't say no to kings. Women didn't defy their husbands publicly, and the king's advisors panicked. One advisor, Memucan, stood up and warned, "This isn't just about the king. Every woman in the empire will hear about this, and they'll start treating their husbands with contempt. Do you want a country full of rebellious women?" The king issued a decree. Vashti was banned from his presence forever, and the search began for a new queen. Not because Xerxes loved Vashti, because his ego couldn't handle the disrespect. Section 2. The orphan who became queen. Enter Esther, a Jewish orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai after her parents died. She was beautiful, elegant, and living in a foreign land where her people were minorities without power. When the king's decree went out to gather beautiful young women from across the empire, Esther was taken to the royal harem in Susa, not by choice. This wasn't an opportunity. It was a command. Haggai, the eunuch in charge of the women, noticed something different about Esther. She had grace, intelligence, the kind of presence that couldn't be taught. He gave her special treatment, the best beauty regimen, 7 personal attendants, a private room. And Mordecai gave her one crucial instruction. Don't tell anyone you're Jewish. For 12 months, Esther underwent beauty treatments, 6 months with myrrh oil, 6 months with perfumes and cosmetics, every detail designed to make these women irresistible to the king. When it was Esther's turn to appear before Xerxes, she didn't demand extravagant jewelry or elaborate decorations. She took only what Haggai recommended: simple, strategic, confident. The king fell in love instantly. Not just attraction, love. He placed the royal crown on her head and made her queen, threw a massive banquet in her honor, declared a holiday across all provinces. Esther had just become the most powerful woman in the Persian Empire, and nobody knew she was Jewish. Section 3. The secret that could kill her. Esther kept her identity hidden. Every day, Mordecai walked by the palace courtyard to check on her, to make sure she was safe. She continued obeying his instructions just as she had as a child. Meanwhile, Mordecai discovered something critical. 2 palace guards, Bigthan and Teresh, were plotting to assassinate King Xerxes. Mordecai reported it to Esther. Esther told the king, giving Mordecai credit. The plot was investigated, confirmed, and the conspirators were hanged. Everything was recorded in the royal chronicles. But Mordecai received no reward, no recognition, just a note in the history books. Then the real threat emerged. King Xerxes promoted a man named Haman to the highest position in government. Everyone was ordered to bow and kneel before Haman. Everyone obeyed, except Mordecai. Day after day, officials questioned him. "Why don't you comply with the king's command?" Mordecai ignored them. He had already told them he was a Jew, and Jews don't bow to men. When Haman discovered this, he was furious, but killing one Jew wasn't enough. Haman decided to eliminate every Jew in the entire Persian Empire. He went to King Xerxes with a proposal. "There's a strange people scattered throughout your provinces. Their customs are different. They don't respect your laws. They're a threat. Let me eliminate them. I'll personally fund the operation. 350 tons of silver deposited in your treasury." The king didn't even ask which people. He removed his signet ring, gave it to Haman and said, "Do as you wish." Letters went out to every province. The order was clear. On the 13th day of the 12th month, massacre every Jew, young, old, women, children, kill them all and seize their possessions. Section 4. When Mordecai broke. Mordecai tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, covered himself in ashes, and went into the streets crying. He reached the palace gate but couldn't enter. No one in mourning clothes was allowed inside. Across every province, Jews wept, fasted, mourned, wore sackcloth, put ashes on their heads. They knew what was coming. Esther's servants told her what was happening. She sent clothes to Mordecai, trying to get him to remove the sackcloth. He refused. She sent Hathach, a palace official, to find out what was really happening. Mordecai told him everything, gave him a copy of the genocide decree, and sent back a message. "Tell Esther to go to the king and beg for her people's lives." Esther's response was honest and terrifying. "Everyone knows what happens to anyone who approaches the king without being summoned. It's death. The only exception is if the king extends his golden scepter, and it's been 30 days since he last called for me." Mordecai sent back words that would change everything. "Don't think you'll escape just because you live in the palace. If you stay silent, help will come from another place, but you and your family will die. Who knows if you weren't made queen for exactly this moment?" Esther made her decision. "Gather all the Jews in Susa. Fast for 3 days. Don't eat or drink. My maids and I will do the same. Then I'll go to the king. And if I die, I die." Section 5. The Banquet Strategy. 3 days later, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court facing the king's throne. This was the moment, life or death decided by whether the king extended his scepter. When Xerxes saw her, he was pleased. He extended the golden scepter. Esther approached and touched its tip. "What is your desire, Queen Esther?" "I'll give you whatever you ask, even half the kingdom." She didn't ask immediately. She invited the king and Haman to a private banquet. His wife and friends said, "Build a gallows 20 meters high. Get the king's permission to hang Mordecai tomorrow morning. Then enjoy the banquet." Haman loved the idea and ordered the gallows built. Section 6. The night the king couldn't sleep. That same night, King Xerxes couldn't sleep. He asked for the royal chronicles to be read to him. During the reading, he came across the record of Mordecai discovering the assassination plot. What reward was given to Mordecai for this? None. Nothing was done for him. Is anyone in the court right now? Haman had just arrived to ask permission to hang Mordecai. Bring him in. The king asked, "What should be done for the man the king wants to honor?" Haman thought, "Who else would he want to honor except me?" He answered, "Bring royal garments and a horse with the royal crest. Have one of the king's most noble princes dress the man and lead him through the city, proclaiming, 'This is what is done for the man the king wants to honor.'" The king said, "Excellent. Do exactly that. For the Jew Mordecai at the palace gate. Don't leave out a single detail." Haman had to dress Mordecai in royal robes, lead him through the city on horseback, and proclaim his honor. The man he wanted to hang became the man he had to honor. Haman ran home humiliated. His wife and friends said, "If Mordecai is Jewish, this is only the beginning of your downfall. You're already ruined." Then the king's officials arrived to take Haman to Esther's second banquet. Section 7. The reveal that changed everything. At the banquet, while drinking wine, the king asked again, "Queen Esther, what is your request? You can have up to half my kingdom." Esther finally revealed everything. "If it pleases you, spare my life and the life of my people. We've been victims of a plot. We're going to be massacred and exterminated." "Who did this? Where is he?" "It's our enemy, this scoundrel named Haman." Haman was terrified. The king stood up furious and walked out to the garden. Haman stayed, begging Esther for mercy. He knew the king had already decided to condemn him. When Xerxes returned, Haman was prostrated on the couch where Esther was reclining. "Does he want to molest the queen in my own house?" As soon as the king said it, officials covered Haman's face. Harbona, one of the king's servants, said, "There's a gallows beside Haman's house, 20 meters high, that he built for Mordecai. Hang him there." Haman was executed on the very gallows he built for Mordecai. The king finally calmed down. Section 8. The decree that saved a nation. That same day, the king gave Esther all of Haman's properties. Mordecai was brought before the king after Esther explained their relationship. Xerxes removed his signet ring and gave it to Mordecai. But there was still a problem. The original decree to kill all Jews couldn't be revoked. Persian law was absolute. Esther begged the king to issue a new decree. Xerxes told her and Mordecai, "Write whatever you think best in favor of the Jews and seal it with my ring." On the 23rd day of the third month, the new decree was written and sent to all 127 provinces. It authorized Jews in every city to defend themselves with weapons, to kill anyone who threatened them, and to confiscate their enemies' goods. The chosen date was the same, the 13th day of the 12th month. When Mordecai left the king's presence, he wore royal robes of violet and white, a large gold crown, and a purple cloak. The city of Susa exploded with joy. For the Jews, it was relief and celebration, and many non-Jews became Jews because from that point forward it was dangerous not to be. Section 9. The day everything reversed. On the 13th day of the 12th month, the day the enemies of the Jews had planned to exterminate them, the situation reversed completely. The Jews defeated those who hated them. No one could stand against them because everyone feared them. All the governors and authorities supported the Jews because of Mordecai's influence. In Susa alone, the Jews killed 500 men, plus Haman's 10 sons. In the provinces, they killed 75,000 enemies, but they didn't plunder anything. They only defended themselves. Esther requested one more day of defense in Susa. The king granted it. On the 14th day, they killed another 300 men. Then the Jews celebrated. The 14th and 15th days of Adar became Purim, a permanent annual celebration remembering the day they were delivered from their enemies. The month their affliction turned into joy and mourning became celebration. Mordecai recorded everything and sent letters to all Jews across the empire, establishing Purim as a tradition for all generations. Esther risked everything for her people. She walked into the throne room knowing she might die. And because of that courage, an entire nation survived. What would you risk for what you believe in? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story inspired you, subscribe for more biblical accounts that prove faith and action change history.